Three, two, one, go.
Okay, come on. Hold on a minute. No, we just got to get the right. Uh, just got to get the music right. So, oh, can't start with the music. So you're gonna have to hear me talk a little bit. All right. Hey everyone, I am Paul, Mr. Cleveland Warren, having less fun than any human being can possibly have. And it is the fourth episode, and we've done
Fourth episode of what?
Of Top 16 Films, my favorite films of all time. And to start the list, we go with one of my favorite Robin Williams film of all time. This is my 16th favorite film. This is Doubtfire. The reason why it's my fave is because it's a good comedy. It's funny when it has to be. It's serious when it has to be too. And it also stars Sally Field, Pierce Brosnan, who was the 90s James Bond. And it also has Matthew Lawrence of the Lawrence brothers. And what makes this movie interesting is that those four actually were in TV shows during the 80s. Oh, well, actually, with Sally Field, she was in Flying Nun, which was from the 60s. But the Robin Williams, he was in Mork and Mindy. Pierce Brosnan was in Remington Steele. And Matthew Lawrence was in the final season of Gimme a Break, the New York season, which I prefer more than season 5. But that'll be another topic altogether. Okay, so number 15 is Duck Soup, and the best political film ever. And this is the only Marxism I will accept, because it has Groucho, Chico, Harpo, and Zeppo's final film. Now, this film flopped when it came out in 1933. But it's a great comedy with two small countries fighting against each other. And Groucho is the leader of Fredonia, and Zeppo helps him out, and Chico and Harpo are in the other side, the rival. And here's why Zeppo is my favorite Marx brother. Excuse me, that's not the reason.
Because of burps.
No. He actually worked behind the camera after Duck Soup. He probably was the one who helped his older brothers get into MGM and had the two best Marx Brothers films after Duck Soup, A Night at the Opera and The Day at the Races. But when Irving Thalberg passed on around The Day at the Races, most of the Marx Brothers films kind of dwindled, mostly. And there's another movie that is like Duck Soup, which leads to number 14 of my favorite films, South Park. Bigger, longer, and uncut. The reason why it's like Duck Soup, because, U.S. declares war on Canada after Eric Cartman, Kenny, Stan, and Kyle watch a controversial film by Terrence and Phillip, Asses of Fire, and it is F-bomb after F-bomb after F-bomb. And so Kyle's mom decides to declare war on Canada. So that's where you get the Duck Soup scenario. And it also makes fun of Disney time after time, because the whole Satan thing, and they make fun of Beauty and the Beast, Little Mermaid, and some hints of Les Miserables. So that's my favorite cartoon film of all time that's not made by Disney. South Park. Bigger, longer, and uncut. And I wish Parker and Stone would make South Park one hell of a film. Well, they got to film Kick-Ass, so why not? Number 13, Casablanca. We move to a classic, with Humphrey Bogart and Ingrid Bergman, which is set around World War II. So it's a modern film at that time. Of all the gin joints I in the world, she's the one who has to come up to my place. So basically,
Close enough.
yeah, it's some people would think the whole boy meets girl thing, but it's actually a boy meets girl again film, boy loses girl again film. Sorry for the spoilers, but that's how it is with that movie, and I recommend it to many. It's a great film. It also has Peter Lorre too, and as well. Number 12, Titanic. There's a reason why I put this movie at 12. Titanic made its first and last voyage in 1912, and so why not?
So it's only voyage?
Yes.
Yeah.
We all know what happens in Titanic.
Well, you should. There shouldn't be too many spoilers on this list, especially now with Titanic.
Well, this is the only good film that Leonardo DiCaprio's in, and Kate Winslet, and it shows like the modern time where like that old lady says, "Wow, I looked great nude." Yeah. It also has Jonathan Hyde, who regretted the whole thing, but also a great Cameron film. I forgot what his name was. It's not Kirk Cameron. He sucks.
James Cameron.
James Cameron.
I think he even plays himself in it at one point or something.
Nothing. But number 11, Grand Hotel. People come in, people go out, and nothing ever happens. Not true. Behind closed doors, there's a lot of things that happen. It's like a soap opera without being cheesy. And this is the first film that many have seen with an all-star cast. You had Greta Garbo, who would probably fit well with COVID time because I want to be alone. Because nowadays we are alone. And then we had Joan Crawford before she's like, "No wonder I said it!" And we have both Barrymore brothers, John and Lionel. Lionel plays the fun drunk guy, and John plays the thief in the film. And this is the only film so far that got only one Oscar for Best Pick. So this is a film I recommend. Number 10, Citizen Kane. I had to put this film on this list because my 10th favorite, it stars Orson Welles, and this was his epic film of all time. And many have said this is the number one film of all time. And it should have won an Oscar that year. But guess who won the Oscar? How Green Was My Valley. And no one can give a damn about that so much. But this was Orson Welles' baby. Even RKO had problems releasing the film, from what I heard. And it was 1941, and it's still the best film ever, according to many.
Except it's only 10.
Here's the thing. Citizen Kane made Birth of a Nation look like Plan 9 from outer space because of how great the camera's angles are. Number 9, E.T., the Extraterrestrial. This film has to be on my list as well because they both came out. I came out in 1982. I mean, I was born in 1982.
There you go, yeah.
No, I didn't come out. No.
Anyway, go on.
Okay, well, it was directed by Steven Spielberg, stars, can't get away from the Barrymores. Now, John and Lionel's relative, Drew Barrymore, is in this film. And Dee Wallace, and I actually met Dee Wallace at Goularty Fest 7 years ago.
Who did Dee Wallace play?
She played the mom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she played the mom in the film.
All right.
And then E.T., and that film should have won an Oscar as well because It was a great film. It's heartwarming. It was breathtaking. It was
better than Citizen Kane.
No.
I mean, you're of the opinion that it's better than Citizen Kane.
Well, the thing is, that movie was competing against another film called Gandhi. I think the Oscar people got their wrinkly people mixed up.
Ah, okay.
So they went with E.T. They went with Gandhi instead of E.T., which, excuse you, was not the right option, but all I can say is c'est la vie. And there is an intermission, and I have an intermission coming up soon.
Well, now.
Uh-huh. This is our intermission. That music is proving to you there's going to be a new show next Tuesday called Movie Sign. It's where I mention my favorite films of all time. And the first film I'm going to mention is Groundhog Day, because it's going to be on Groundhog Day. Will Punxsutawney Phil see his shadow this year? But who cares? Everyone will be inside. So subscribe and hit that like button. Hit that subscription, and that is our intermission. Okay, that one 8. But we now move on to my favorite Jim Carrey movie, which is number 8 favorite movie on this list, Bruce Almighty. This is one of those films that had a great cast. Not only Jim Carrey was in it, but Jennifer Aniston, who was like in the final seasons of Friends. You had Steve Carell, who was going to be a future star, and Morgan Freeman as God. Morgan Freeman does great as God. But it's usually that Jim Carrey kind of concept. You know, he's a loser who feels like he wants to accomplish something. No, that was a mask. But Bruce Almighty, I watch this film every time I get discouraged, because it's like, why me, God? But in some ways, it has a Frank Capra-ish feel. Speaking of Frank Capra, my 7th favorite film of all time is my favorite Christmas film of all time. Can you take a guess what it is?
Die Hard?
It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh. Yeah, Frank Capra didn't have anything to do with Die Hard.
Frank, yeah. But I heard Frank Sinatra was going to be in one of the Die Hard films.
Anyway, go on.
Okay. James Stewart plays George Bailey. Another film with Barrymore. This time Lionel. Instead of playing a fun drunk, he's a curmudgeonly old guy.
Is it crotchety?
Crotchety.
What's the line in the movie?
I don't know.
They're just a perverted old man. No, that's in his own voice. It would have been Jimmy Stewart's voice.
And it also has Donna
Reed. Just a perverted old man.
And it also has Donna Reed in it.
Uh-huh.
So, and this was one of the few films that tanked in 1946. Everyone thought it was too depressing, but it actually became a movie that they play 1 million times on Christmas, according to a Garfield character, which was not Garfield. My 6th favorite film, Goodfellas. As far back as I remember, I always want to be a gangster. Now, if Ray Liotta is the Orson Welles of our time, Goodfellas would be his Citizen Kane, because he did peak at that film, and then his career kind of went downhill after that. And this is also my favorite Martin Scorsese film of all time. It's got a lot of great camera angles, too. Like going downstairs in the restaurant. Yeah, and it also has Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci, who already did a movie that was done by Scorsese, Raging Bull. Well, De Niro did more films with Scorsese, but Joe Pesci he's only 4 films, not just Goodfellas, but Raging Bull, Casino, and The Irishman. But that's another film that should have won the Oscar in 1990. And guess who they gave it to? Kevin Costner's Dances with Wolves. But you know what makes this interesting? Ray Liotta and Kevin Costner were in Field of Dreams the year before. And Kevin Costner was also in JFK, and it starred John Candy. John Candy connection. or you could even say Joe Pesci, because they were both in JFK. Okay. Number 5 is my favorite Disney film of all time, The Three Caballeros, which means gentlemen in Spanish. And the idea, around that time, Disney had that anthology era, which was between 1942 and 1945, between Bambi and Cinderella. This is only one of the few anthology films that's talked about. The other one is Song of the South, but I haven't seen that film, and I don't think anyone will. But the plot is Donald Duck gets a gift from his friends in Latin America, and it also stars Carmen Miranda's sister, Aurora. But this was the predecessor of other live-action / animated films like Mary Poppins, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Space Jam, and Sonic the Hedgehog, which I actually want to see Sonic the Hedgehog, the movie now. It has Jim Carrey as well. Number 4, Help. Not to be confused by The Help, which is also a good film. This film stars the Fab Four, the Beatles. A Hard Day's Night is good, but I liked Help a little bit better.
Help was probably the best movie the Beatles made.
Yeah. And it also starred Roy Kinnear, the guy who played Mr. Salt, Veruca's dad, and also has Leo McKern, who was also in an Oscar-winning film called A Man for All Seasons. And he was Australian. But yeah, the plot is Ringo has a ring that this Hindu cult wants back. And of everyone who they made wear the ring is Ringo. Pure irony.
No, it's just because that's his name. He wore rings all the time.
Ringo.
Yeah, Ringo.
On Ringo Starr, the drums. Number 3, my third favorite film, The Rocky Horror Picture Show. Guaranteed to chill you, thrill you, and fulfill you. The midnight movie of midnight movies. It stars Tim Curry, Barry Bostwick, Susan Sarandon, and Meatloaf. It stars two people who are engaged to get lost in the middle of the woods and meets this goes to this mansion, which is so it's like a science fiction cliche, science fiction double feature, and it works perfectly. I actually want to go to the late night double feature picture show. I'll dress up as Brad when he's not in his underwear, because when they play Rocky Horror on Halloween, it's gonna be a little bit cold in Cleveland. Not hot in Cleveland.
So you're not gonna dress up like Dr. Frankenfurter then, huh?
Well, the other one I could do is Dr. Everett Von Scott. Hi, Brad. It's a surprise to see you. But you're starting to look like Dr. Everett's got that mustache. My second favorite film of all time. It's right over here. I'm pointing to it. Gone with the Wind. 1939 was a great year for films. No year has ever competed against this feat, except for 1994. Because 1994 really did have a lot of great films, which I'll mention next. But you had Ninotchka, you had Stagecoach, you had Of Mice and Men, which was a Hal Roach film, as a matter of fact. The same Hal Roach that gave us that guy, Harold Lloyd. You like Harold Lloyd, don't you?
Yeah.
And also there was Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, Goodbye, Mr. Chips, not potato chips, and also The Wizard of Oz, which is probably the most watched film ever. Second most is Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, because you watch those as children, basically. But hear me out about Gone with the Wind. It was set during the Civil War, so of course there's going to be a lot of controversy today with all the scenarios. And there was even controversy even on set, because this is no fact. Clark Gable actually wanted to walk out of the film because of the segregation things that they had. True story. And they also got the Wizard of Oz director, Victor Fleming, to help out. But I think, to be honest, the person I couldn't stand the most in that film was Scarlett O'Hara. She was a bee in that whole entire film. And I know why they gave her the name Scarlett, because she kept slapping everyone in the film.
And she made their faces red?
Mm-hmm.
Scarlett?
Yep, Scarlett. And also, from what I heard, Martin Luther King was at the gala premiere. Mm. And Clark Gable was hesitant to go, but the lady who played the maid, Hattie McDaniel, told him, go. Despite separation issues in Atlanta at the time. And I have some honorable mentions, but there's too many to mention. I could say Kentucky Fried Movie, UHF, basketball, Dude, Where's My Car? I even mentioned Groundhog Day, but there's so many.
Yeah, you have very strange tastes in movies if these are your top 16 favorites of all time. But go ahead. Yes.
But my favorite
your show.
of all time is I'm kind of wearing the shirt.
Oh, all right.
My name's Forrest Gump. Yeah. People call me Forrest Gump. Yeah, I mentioned about 1994. Second greatest movie year of all time. Not only did you have Forrest Gump, but you also had those Jim Carrey movies, Ace Ventura, The Mask, Dumb and Dumber. Jim Carrey had a great year that year. You also had The Lion King. You also had The Shawshank Redemption.
So why is Forrest Gump your favorite movie of all time?
Well, because it's about a guy who has a handicap. And, he has a mental problem. Like, his IQ is 70, and he overcomes a lot of things. He plays football, goes to Vietnam. He plays ping pong. He has bubblegum shrimp.
Well, he not only plays ping pong, he becomes one of the greatest ping pong players in the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it comes from my favorite director, Robert Zemeckis. The guy who gave us Roger Rabbit, Back to the Future, I Want to Hold Your Hand, and one film I would like to watch, Polar Express, because it looks live action, but it's computer animated. And it has Tom Hanks, too. Tim Hawks. So
you do realize that in this top 16 list of yours, and here you've done it again, that you have a nice big picture right behind you with John Wayne's face on it. It says legend. He's one of the greatest actors of all time, and in your top 16 movies list, not one single film with John Wayne in it.
Well, I gave him an honorable mention.
No.
What? I said Stagecoach.
Oh, you did say Stagecoach?
Uh-huh.
All right,
because
I didn't hear that. Of all the John Wayne movies, not like the Cowboys or now I'm spacing on John Wayne movies now too. The Shootist. One of the greatest films ever made.
I think his last film was one of his greatest as well.
Wasn't that The Shootist?
I don't know. I think so. But he was also in True Grit. Not the one from the guys who gave us The Big Lebowski.
I know, right. The original True Grit.
Mm-hmm. And
you say Stagecoach.
Stagecoach. Well.
So anyway, that's your top 16 list of no John Wayne movies, even though you got a big freaking picture of John Wayne.
Yeah, well, so unfortunately, here's a teaser for my next episode. It's about winter. Why I hate winter so much. There's 16 reasons. One of them is snow. The other is being inside. And one is actually mentioning about a movie that I'm going to mention next Tuesday as Movie Sign. So stay tuned for Top 16. I'm Paul, Mr. Clean Warren, having less fun than any human being can possibly ever have. We're clear.
Well, I click the button, but then I have to click another button.